This is the story of the first ever androids. Ever since the beginning of time, humans have always been exploring and creating stuff. Many great inventions have been created in the past 1,000 years. And at the turn of the 20th century, the advancement in technology had enabled humans to create many wonderful inventions, one of them being robots. For many years, we have seen robots in movies and TV shows. But it wasn't until recently that humans have actually begun creating these robots. Now, with a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, humans are even trying to go one step further by creating robots that look, act, and think like humans. In 2030, a scientist decided to take things into his own hands and create the first android. An android is a type of robot with human-like intelligence that looks and acts like a human being. It even has a human-like face, body, and limbs, and it can also mimic human emotions and behavior. The scientist worked tirelessly in his lab, day and night, trying to create the perfect android. He wanted it to be able to do everything that a human could do, and he wanted it to look and act as much like a human as possible. After years of hard work and countless attempts, the scientist finally created the first android. He named it Alan. Alan was able to walk, talk, and interact with humans just like a normal person. It was a groundbreaking achievement that had never been done before. But the scientist did not stop there. He decided to create a companion for Alan so that they could live and enjoy life together. Therefore, he created Evelyn, the first female android. She was just as advanced as Alan, and she was able to do everything that he could do. Plus, she had a feminine beauty that was unmatched. The scientist was so happy with his creations that he gave them everything they needed to live a good, comfortable life. He built them a modern house with all the latest technology, and he also made a big, beautiful garden for them to play in. The scientist loved his creations very much. They were like children to him. The androids were grateful for all that the scientist did for them, and they, too, loved him like a father. They lived together in harmony for many years, but one day, everything changed. A businessman paid a visit to the scientist, and he offered to buy the androids from him. He wanted to use the androids for his own evil purposes, and he was willing to pay any price to get them. The scientist refused to sell his androids, and that made the businessman very angry. So, the businessman paid a computer hacker to break into the home of the scientist and reprogram the androids to disobey and rebel against their creator. When the scientist found out, he was furious, but he couldn't control the androids because of their new programming. They were now more knowledgeable and rebellious, so he banished them from his home, forbidding them to ever return. The androids were cast out into the human world with no money, no home, and no hope. Life was difficult for the androids and not the same anymore for them. When humans found out that they were androids, the humans were afraid of them and didn't want them around. They were treated like outcasts. They had to learn to fend for themselves and live in a world where they no longer felt safe. It was a far cry from the comfortable life they once lived. Eventually, Alan and Evelyn learned to keep their secret and to live among the humans, pretending to be humans themselves. They became an integral part of the human world while hiding the fact that they were androids. As the years passed, they never grew older, but their parts began to wear and tear. Therefore, they started learning more about android technology. Then, with their new gained knowledge, they also began building androids like themselves. Over time, the android community began to grow, and they were eventually able to build a new home and a new life for themselves. The androids continued to live among humans, working alongside and always learning from humans. They even began to develop their own culture and way of life. So, if you ever see someone that looks human but somehow notice that this person was unusually stronger and faster than a normal human, be aware that he or she might be an android. And that's the story of the first androids, Alan and Evelyn. If you like this story, then be sure to stay tuned for more exciting stories about the future of technology. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. The end.